What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Pallion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today I'm going to recap everything that went down in the Knicks Game 1 victory over the Detroit Pistons. Campaign's heroics, a 21-0 run in the fourth quarter, great defense from the starting five. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo at three. Bang! Bang!
At the wall, he jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode, and I'm going to start with the point guard play tonight. I'll start with Jalen Brunson, the starter, the captain, the silencer, a leader, a playmaker. Jalen Brunson does everything the right way. When Jalen Brunson went down with that ankle injury, the first time he went up for a layup and he tweaked it coming down and he laid at the base of the rim, at the base of the basket for a good 20 seconds. He was sitting there with his hands around his knees like something was wrong. He stayed in the game. Then he stepped on Malik Beasley's ankle and rolled it again. He stayed in the game. He jogged it off. He worked through it. When he came out, he went to the locker room. He came back. And that first stint that he had, that first run that he had, he wasn't playing his best basketball. But when he came back in the game, after going to the locker room, after scaring Knicks fans, Jalen Brunson was Jalen Brunson. This is what I had been looking for out of Jalen Brunson since he's returned. In the 5 games that Jalen Brunson had been back from injury, I had not been particularly excited, overjoyed, enthusiastic with what I had seen from Jalen Brunson. But in this one, he dropped a quiet 34 points, a quiet 5 assists. Jalen Brunson, that's 8 assists. That's 2 assists, sorry. I don't know where I'm getting 8 from. I was looking at Cat when I said, oh, wait, no. Jalen did have 8 assists. I was looking at rebounds. Yeah, Jalen, a quiet 8 assists and 34 points. That's what you get from Jalen on a bad night. On a night where he's working through an ankle issue, where he's clearly dealing with an injury. In a playoff game, this guy is a playoff riser. We've seen it time and time again. Last year in the playoffs, it took him 2 games to heat up. Those first 2 games at the Garden against the Sixers were not the best for number 11. But once they went to Philly and he got out of the New York air, he got out of the fans and, well, still a lot of fans in Philly, but he got to Philadelphia where he had, 20,000, 18,000 fans in Philadelphia egging him on, trying to knock him off his game. He rose to the top. He was putting up 2018 LeBron James numbers. That's what he was being compared to. And let me remind you, that was the year that LeBron carried a bunch of no names to the NBA Finals. That's the kind of performance Jalen Brunson was having last year. And I'm not saying the Knicks had no names last year, by the way. The Knicks had a bunch of talent, which makes it even more impressive that Jalen was putting up those numbers. But in this game, Tom Thibodeau said it best. Tom Thibodeau said when he went back to that locker room, he grabbed his cape. He came out with some Willis Reed-esque performance coming out of the locker room, locking in and killing. The start of good things for the Knicks always comes from Jalen Brunson. He is a facilitator, a bucket getter, a defender when you need him to be. Jalen Brunson's defense is underrated. He puts his body on the line every defensive possession. He gets after it. And he is undersized. He does have times where defenders will work around him and get buckets on him easily. But Jalen Brunson doesn't take possessions off. He doesn't have the ability, the insurance to. Jalen Brunson can't. because he already sticks out a little bit on the defensive end. He's already a loose end on the defensive side of the ball. He can't be taking possessions off. He puts everything he has into defense. He just doesn't have the ability or the genetics, the size, the build to be a strong defender. But he is solid, and he gives it everything he has. And now let me get to campaign. The campaign game. The campaign, the Energizer Bunny, the spark plug, whatever you want to call him. Campaign is the guy that sparked the 21-0 run. It was campaign. It was 98-90 when the Knicks went on that run. Pure electricity. Karl-Anthony Towns got in the mix. OG Anunoby. Josh Hart, a little bit. It was a pretty quiet Josh Hart game. He still had 13 points. Mikal made a couple shots. I mean, only 8 points from Mikal. I don't love it, but you made it up with campaign's 14 points off the bench, a plus 23 in 15 minutes. When campaign first came into the game, I was mad. I didn't want him in there. But then he started hooping. He started making shots. He did take a couple bad shots, don't get me wrong, but he started hitting shots with that awkward 45-degree angle jump shot. He started hooping. He started getting buckets. I was okay with it. I loved what Tom Thibodeau did in this game. But staying on the topic of pain, he tortured that Pistons defense. I mean, there's the picture that's going viral right now. I think it's campaign either looking at Tobias Harris or Malik Beasley. Like, yeah, I did that to you. I just did that. What are you going to do about it? Like, just being the pest that he is. Campaign is the annoying little brother. That's absolutely what campaign is. And he did it tonight. He'll have games like that where he goes for 14 points, and he shows you that I can be a great NBA, not great, but I can be a solid NBA player that wins a playoff game for my team against a pretty good defensive team in the Detroit Pistons. I have no idea what the Pistons were doing with the defensive 3-second violations. They racked up 3 over the course of the game. That is unacceptable. That is the inexperience showing, and that's what I want to get to next. The Pistons' inexperience absolutely showed in this game. When the times got tough, it should have been Tim Hardaway and Tobias Harris, the 2 veterans on this team, that steady the ship. Those guys aren't good enough to steady the ship, though. They aren't good enough to stabilize a team. A team of young guys. Cade Cunningham, I think he's in his 3rd season. Azar Thompson, 2nd season. Jalen Duren, I think he's 3rd season maybe? 2nd or 3rd season as well. But they are such a young team. There's a lot of promise with that team for the next decade or so, but right now they don't have that guy. They don't have the veteran with a steady presence. Dennis Schroeder had it going for a little bit. He finished with 20 points off the bench. There was one spurt in the 3rd quarter where he went on about an 8-0 run by himself and put the Pistons out to probably a 6-point lead. But it really felt like whenever the Knicks went down, they were going to come back. There was one moment in the game where I was like, oh, this is it. The Knicks lost game 1. Pistons came in, took home court advantage. We could get it back, at least equalize the series on Monday, and then go to Detroit and grab home series back. But no, the Knicks found a way to win. The will to win. TWTW. That's what it came down to with the Knicks in this one. Karl-Anthony Towns had one of his better defensive performances. I loved what we got out of Mitchell Robinson. Even though Mitch was a -9, he had 6 points, only 6 rebounds, a steal and 2 blocks. So not the biggest night on the stat sheet, but I thought his physicality was strong. He had a couple putback slams. I think one of them got waved off. The first one was electrifying, though. I am okay with what we got out of Mitchell Robinson. I would like to see his plus-minus number come up quite a bit, actually. But I would be all right if we continue what we got from Mitch tonight. And the next thing I'm going to get to is Tom Thibodeau. A 9-man rotation in the playoffs? What? He barely goes 9 deep in the regular season. This is uncharted territories for Tom Thibodeau. This is a moment he has to learn from. The last time the Knicks faced JB Bickerstaff in the playoffs was 2 years ago, Jalen Brunson's first season as a New York Knick, and the Knicks won in 5 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tom Thibodeau ran circles, ran laps around Bickerstaff in that series. I am hoping that Tibbs can have the same effect on this series. I think that's a real possibility. I don't think JB Bickerstaff is that tremendous of a head coach. What he's done the past 5 years or so, he's gone to teams with a lot of young players and really one star player, and he's turned them around. He's got them into contention, and then, like the Cavs did, they handed the keys off to Kenny Atkinson, and now they're a 60-plus win team, the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, looking to make a championship run. So I doubt JB Bickerstaff will be the guy for the Detroit Pistons, but in this series, he is a solid head coach. Tom Thibodeau should be able to have the same effect he had on the last time he coached against Bickerstaff and run circles around him. And what he did in that series was that he had his bigs dominate down low. That was the key to the Cleveland Cavaliers series. Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein dominated that series. They forced Jared Allen into saying the lights were brighter than expected. It's the Mecca. It's the playoffs. What are you expecting in that moment? That's Tom Thibodeau. That's Isaiah Hartenstein in that moment. And now it's Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson trying to lock down Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. And really Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris was killing the Knicks tonight. In the first half, he went for 22 points. However, in the second half, the Knicks defense made adjustments. They made some changes in the locker room, and they held him scoreless for the majority of the second half. They might have held him scoreless for the entirety of the second half. No, he finished with 25 points, so he had either one field goal, a couple free throws. I think he had an and one in the second half. But the Knicks defense honed in on stopping Tobias Harris. He was the entirety of the Piston offense in the first half. But in the second half, guys like Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroeder, they all started to turn it on. But it wasn't enough. Because the Knicks wing defense is just too much to handle. It was OG. OG's defense tonight was impeccable. His physicality was there. And for the rest of the series, I need to see OG Anunoby on Cade Cunningham. But Mikal Bridges simply doesn't have enough weight, doesn't have enough mass, doesn't have enough body to hang with Cunningham. Cade was just pushing him around, using his body and getting easy baskets. I know he didn't make a ton of baskets, but he had a lot of easy shots, and the Knicks can't let that hurt them. OG Anunoby is stronger. He's more built. He's more inclined for those situations. That's where OG Anunoby specializes. I need to see OG on Cade Cunningham for the rest of this series. No questions asked. All right. A couple more things I want to talk about here before I wrap this up. Josh Hart, I was looking through the box score saying what I want to talk to next. Josh Hart only played 7 minutes in the first half, finished the game with 30, which means he sat for about 1 minute in the second half, but his foul trouble, it's all right. Josh Hart, I'm okay with it. I know he hated to sit out. He's such a competitor. He's a grade A player. He wants to be out there in the biggest moments, but there's times where it's like, you're too amped up. We need you for the rest of the game. Take a seat, get your headspace right. We'll put you out there. We'll play you however much we want you in the second half. We're going to need you. And 3 fouls, it happens, man. Josh Hart, he's a high energy player, and it'll happen for him with one of those games. He's susceptible to that kind of performance every once in a while. Let's just hope it doesn't carry over into the rest of the series. All right, Josh Hart got me on the track of physicality. That's where I want to go to next. When the Knicks played at the level and exceeded the level of physicality of the Pistons, they were destroying the Pistons. It wasn't even a competition. But when they got lackluster and they got lackadaisical on the physicality front, that's when the Pistons crept back into it. That's when the Pistons took those 4, 6, 8-point leads. The Knicks, for the rest of this series, have to be more physical. Absolutely have to. That is the key to this series moving forward. More than Mitchell Robinson, what we get out of Mitch, I think he's the X factor for this series. More than Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson could put up 45 points in every game for the rest of this series, and if the Knicks aren't as physical, if not more physical on the Pistons, the Knicks will lose in 7 games. The physicality is an absolute must. And I just don't think that Tom Thibodeau is going to let that slip under the radar. I think that's at the forefront. That's the key to this series, and he knows that, and he's going to be telling his guys every single day. The one thing I didn't like about how the Knicks closed this game is that in the last minute and 15 seconds, they acted like they had it in the bag. And maybe they did up 9, but OG Anunoby was playing pretty much at the free throw line. He let Cade walk into a 3. Cade banked it home, and suddenly it was a 6-point game with over a minute to go. The Knicks saw it best last year. They won that game 2 against the Sixers in the last 30 seconds. That can happen in the playoffs. They have to be playing until the clock hits 0. I really thought, and when Cade hit that 3, that the Pistons were going to come back and send the game to overtime. I really did. I thought it was about to happen. And it didn't. But the Knicks have to be better in those situations. They have to be better when they go up points. It seemed like they didn't have their foot on the throat of the Detroit Pistons. It seemed like they were like, okay, we're up 6 now. We'll just try to keep it here. We're not going to look to extend it too much. No, you got to be, all right, we're up 6. Let's look to get a stop and push. Push this lead to 10 points. Force them into calling a timeout. That's a young team. Let's force them into turning the ball over. They're rattled. We're at the Garden. The fans are going crazy. They're going to blow the roof off this place if we go up 15, 20 points in the first half. They got lazy when they went up. Like I said, the physicality is the key. The physicality will be the driving force to winning playoff games, to winning this series, and to going ahead and staying ahead and extending leads for the remainder of this series. That's what the Knicks have to do. The physicality is the most important thing. Last year, I said job's not finished about 25 times in the episode I recorded after game 1. The job was certainly not finished. I didn't know what playoff basketball was like. This series going 6 games. I think this was a preview of a long series. It was 27-27 after the first quarter. It was so evenly matched. The Knicks were down 8. They turned it on. I'm going to go back all the way to January. That first half, they had in Oklahoma City. That's the kind of basketball they played in the fourth quarter tonight. They need to keep that up for the remainder of the playoffs. And it's not realistic that they're going to be playing that high level of basketball night in and night out for the next month and a half, 2 months. They've got to control it. They've got to know when it's necessary to really turn it on, to really turn it up. Yes, it would be great if they can play at that level from now until the middle of June and hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. And I think they have the ability to play like that for an extended period of time. They just have to know when it matters more. They have to pick and choose their spots. And as much as we can say there's no picking and choosing in the playoffs, you got to do it right now. They've got to just, it's got to come when it matters most. Like they were down, that's what I keep saying, but it's true. Like when they were down 8 in the fourth quarter and Jalen Brunson wasn't in the game, that's when they have to turn it on. That's when they have to go on that 21-0 run. And I know Jalen subbed in the midst of that run. So you can't really look at that as much. You still can, but it's not as convincing. They did a good job turning it up in the fourth quarter. I didn't love Tibbs' rotation in the fourth quarter. I thought Jalen should have played more. I thought he should have came in before about 7:30. But that's when he came in. It worked, and I can live with it. He needed to get his rest. He needed to stay out of that game because his ankle moving forward is going to be the deciding factor on the next season. If Jalen Brunson is not available for the Knicks, this team goes as Jalen goes. So if he's not available, the Knicks aren't available to win a playoff series. But game one, I love it. Great win tonight. 123-112. The Knicks win it. They beat the Detroit Pistons in game one. 34-8 from Jalen Brunson leads the way. Knicks look to get back at it on Monday, April 21st. The day after Easter, look to go up 2-0 in the series, and then head to Detroit, head to Little Caesars Arena to really wrap it up. Maybe even get a sweep. I'm kind of hoping the Pistons win one game. I want to be at Game 5. I want to be at the clincher. Let's just hope they don't win Game 5 too. All right, that's going to do it for the episode. I'm your host, Ben Ballion. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, follow. Comment. I might have said it twice, but comment twice. Why not? I really appreciate all of it. Go check out all my socials. They're linked in the description below. Also, check out my voicemail at 848-305-8073. That's 848-305-8073. And most importantly, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.